Okay, we are going to try this for a third and final time. And I'm checking on my phone to make sure that I actually have audio this time. So it appears that everything is fine. So once again, hey y'all, hey, welcome back to the deep dive with Toya Creates. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Not sure what's been going on today, but hopefully we have a permanent fix as I am not doing this a third time. So let us get right back into it. We are starting with last Monday, August 17th, for the bold and the beautiful. So, we are coming off of Steffi fleeing Monaco because she basically saw Sheila there and it ruined things. She was panicked, she spiraled out, she threw her rings at Finn, and she boarded a flight back to LA. So then she is encountering Carter in the Forrester Creations office, and he has been drinking heavily as well because Daphne found out that she could not have children, and so she was in a severe depression, and she told Carter that she was leaving and going back to Paris. So Carter has drank every bottle of booze in Forrester Creations at this point, and Steffi came staggering in off of a 14-hour flight of nothing but a liquid diet of champagne and booze as well. And so they are meeting or crossing paths in the office and just chatting because Carter saw that something was wrong with Steffi, and so he asked what was up. So at the Forrester Creations office, a deeply traumatized Steffi opens up to Carter about the explosive events in Monaco. She explains that she ripped off her wedding ring and left it behind because she can no longer trust Finn. Steffi admits she couldn't face her mother and couldn't even sleep in the on the 14-hour flight because she saw Sheila every time she closed her eyes. Okay. Fuming that Finn keeps choosing the problem over his own family, Steffi asserts her focus is strictly on her children and that her marriage is officially over. Carter fills her glass as Steffi vents about being forced into the role of a nagging wife, constantly seeking safety reassurance. She notes that instead of stopping Sheila, Finn defended the villain and actively tried to sell her on giving Sheila visitation rights. Having lost complete faith, Steffi declares she will never believe another word her husband says. So this is what she is telling Carter as he just listens on in a drunken stupor because he's wondering why Steffi is back at the office. She's supposed to be in Monaco. This is why, Carter. So let's just keep pushing. Meanwhile, in Monaco, a panicked Finn continues to scramble for answers regarding Steffi's whereabouts. Ridge sternly reminds him that he explicitly promised to keep Sheila away, pointing out that the only person currently happy with the situation is Sheila herself. Brooke and Ridge frantically handle rescheduled business meetings while Finn tries to explain that Sheila took it upon herself to board the flight. Brooke is left completely stunned, of course she is, when Finn reveals that Sheila was actively trying to get through to Steffi during that chaotic confrontation on the beach. When Finn pulls out the ring Steffi handed back to him, Ridge bluntly warns him that he is in massive trouble. Finn fully agrees, declaring that he needs to find his wife immediately. So as Ridge secures a driver to rush Finn to the airport, he apologizes for yelling, but demands that Finn permanently cure his blind spot for his mother. A remorseful Finn admits he finally saw the light when he witnessed the sheer horror on Steffi's face at the beach. Realizing that his own actions, not Sheila's, caused his wife that intense pain. Finn vows he will never let it happen again. However, as he rushes out to catch a flight back to Los Angeles, Finn confesses to Ridge that he has a terrible, looming feeling that he needs to get to Steffi ASAP before something else happens that will tear them apart permanently. So, as I read, they are still in Monaco. Finn is absolutely terrified. He has no idea where Steffi is. It's been 14 plus hours because Steffi's made it all the way back to LA, and Finn has no idea where she's at. He interrupted this important business meeting that Brooke and Rich were having. I mean, it wasn't going to go their way anyways, but that is not the point. So, Ridge and Brooke are there and they are just completely stunned to hear what happened because Brooke was so excited for her, the stepdaughter that she loves now since Hope has defected and ruined everything. Brooke was so excited for Steffi and Finn to reunite and this and that. And she was just shocked to hear one, Sheila was on the flight. Two, Finn said nothing. And three, Finn allowed Sheila to talk to Steffi on the beach because in that chaotic reveal on the beach, Sheila was trying to reason with Steffi like, hey, I didn't mean to cause any issues. This is not Finn's fault. Blah blah blah. All she wants is visitation. She loves her family. And Steffi was like, "Shut it! I don't want to hear this." So Brooke, fully realizing the trauma that Sheila has caused this family, is just shocked to hear that Finn allowed Sheila to be anywhere near Steffi and, to kind of take Sheila's side. Now, Ridge was losing his damn mind. Okay, he was tearing into Finn like, how could you do this? It's all your fault. You ruin things. You. And then Finn was getting a little tired of all of this berating. And I understand, Finn was just like, look, I know I made a mistake. I'm just trying to get home to Steffi. So later, Ridge secures the driver for, Finn to get to the airport because Finn and Ridge and Brooke have been calling around in Monaco. No one can find Steffi. I guess Finn figured, oh, she must have gone home. Let me fly home. So Ridge was nice enough to get him a card. He apologized to Finn for, getting upset. He's just like, I need you to stop having a blind spot up as it pertains to Sheila because she just can't be trusted. And I get why Ridge feels this way. I really do. But I am one of the people who's like team visitation for Sheila because she has, she's proven that she has changed. She still has not retaliated at all against Taylor or Deacon. And I think Sheila deserves a chance. But whatever. So Finn and Ridge basically have this little conversation and they make up, and Finn runs out because he just has this nagging feeling that if he doesn't get to Steffi soon, something else is going to happen that's going to permanently tear them apart. So let's keep going. We're back at the Forrester Creations office. The shared heartbreak deepens when Steffi notices Carter tearing up. Because this entire time, Steffi has not asked Carter why he's there, what's going on with him, nothing. She's just been talking about, oh my God, her marriage is over. Oh, she can't trust her husband, blah, blah, blah. So then Carter emotionally confesses that Daphne has officially walked out on their marriage and is currently on her way back home to Paris. A shocked Steffi listens as a devastated Carter reveals Daphne refused to work things out, believing her presence only serves as a constant reminder that she cannot physically give him a family. Carter laments that he gave Daphne absolutely everything and meant every word of his vows, yet she still chose to give up and walk out on them, which is true. Daphne pissed me off last week, okay? So Steffi strongly commiserates, opening up about her own feelings of intense abandonment. She reflects on almost being fired by Ridge. Remember when Brooke was like, oh, I want to be your co-CEO. And Ridge actually talked to Steffi about it. So clearly Steffi is still very upset with that. Then She's also talking about how, she got stabbed in the back by Katie and Hope. Ugh, that whole thing, whatever. And then she is just dealing with the stress of Sheila, and she's just like, the stress will kill me if Sheila doesn't do it first. So Steffi's just absolutely breaking down, spiraling out. And this is when things really take a turn. So Carter, walks over to her. He tightly holds her to comfort her. And he's just like, I got you. While Steffi's like, I just need this stress to get out of me. And they're in each other's arms and they're looking at each other in their eyes. And I was like, okay, it's about to go down. Okay, they're just looking at each other longingly, lovingly. And that is how Monday's episode ends. So let's go into Tuesday, August 18th. Over at the Cliff House, Taylor and Deacon catch up as they discuss her decision to reject his sudden marriage proposal. Taylor doubles down on her stance, reiterating that they simply do not need to get married at their age. Deacon accepts her boundaries, shifting the focus to ask if she has heard any updates from Steffi. He notes that Sheila has surprisingly not tried to manipulate any family situations while the couple has been away in Monaco, optimistically wondering if the villain has finally learned her lesson. High up in the air, a deeply stressed Finn spends his entire flight back to Los Angeles agonizing over how horribly wrong their trip went. Deeply anxious, Finn repeatedly tells himself that he just needs to touch down and get to his wife before it is too late to save their family. So first, let's talk about Deacon and Taylor. The other week, Deacon surprised Taylor with a proposal to which she turned down, which I thought was absolutely crazy. I mean, and I did not appreciate the fact that when Deacon asked, like, did I make a mistake because I divorced Sheila for you, basically, and for us to be together? And Taylor was like, I mean, well, no, you divorced her so I didn't have to date a married man. Girl, whatever. So, like I said, Deacon proposed. She says no. Deacon is clearly hurt, but he says he understands. So then, it's a new day. He's checking up on his boo, bringing her breakfast. At this point, Ben is still in Monaco. Steffi's back. They don't know anything that's happened. So, Taylor takes this time to reassure Deacon, thanking him for understanding her stance on not wanting to be married, which makes absolutely no sense to me. She's like, they don't need to be married because of their age and all of the complications with Sheila and Steffi. Number one, Steffi is grown. She has her own family. She has kids that we see once in a blue moon, whatever. Who cares? And Sheila has not proven to be a threat at this point. I mean, she let you take her husband, Taylor. What more reassurance do you need? But whatever. Taylor's just thanking Deacon for his understanding. Deacon is just going along with it because I think Deacon's going to end back up with Sheila or something else, because I think he's lying about how he feels. All right. I think he is like not going to get over the fact that Taylor rejected his proposal, because it makes absolutely no sense. And then why are they always meeting up at Steffi's house or meeting up at Bikini? I guess because Taylor doesn't have a home. How about she do that? Or why don't Deacon and Taylor at least shack up with each other? Whatever. It's crazy to me. But I digress. So then Deacon, while they are chatting, he makes it a point to note that, maybe Sheila actually has gotten the point because she hasn't tried to come over here while she knows that Steffi and Finn are in Monaco. It's been radio silent from Sheila. And so Taylor's like, I hope so. And Deacon's hoping the same, but we know that's not true. So then, yes, we also see Finn. He is on this plane finally. I swear I thought Sheila was about to be on this flight again, but no. She was not. And actually, we don't know where Sheila is. We've not seen her since the fight on the beach. I mean, is she still in Monaco? Did she get on a flight? I also thought Sheila may have ended up on the flight with Steffi, but that didn't happen either. So again, Sheila's whereabouts are completely unknown. Finn is on his way back to LA. He's very anxious. He just feels like he needs to get to his wife as soon as possible before it's too late to save their family. So, meanwhile, at the Forrester Creations office, the morning after their heavy drinking brings absolute chaos. So this is where the week picked up, and it was only Tuesday, okay? So Steffi woke up on that couch, she's still in Forrester Creations. She is coming to. The cleaning crew was out there knocking on the door. They're like, why is the door locked? And then they were just like, you know what? We'll come back later, whatever. So Steffi's coming too, and you don't see anything at first. You just see her. She's clearly unclothed under a blanket on this couch. So then she wakes up and she looks to her side, and Carter is there naked as well, but with a towel strategically placed. And it is very apparent what happened. Now, we did not see any of it go down, which was surprising to me because you know what? The daytime soaps have gotten a little salacious with these sex scenes, okay? A little raunchy. But we didn't see anything. We didn't see them kiss, nothing. We just saw the aftermath. So a frantic Steffi immediately reels in regret, crying out they should have never let this happen. While Carter is trying to process the situation, a panicked Steffi refuses to talk. She jumps up, she starts grabbing all her clothes that's all thrown around the room, the bra, the shoes, the phone. It was hilarious to me. And I know this is like a very polarizing thing for some of the fans because they're like, we're not watching this. If they do this with Steffi and blah, 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 Steffi and Carter, no, what's the big deal? Who cares? Whatever. Anyways, so then she is running around gathering all her clothes. Her anxiety is at an all-time high because she gets her phone and she checks it and she's like, oh my God, Finn has been trying to get a hold of me. Well, girl, duh. You went AWOL, basically. This man is panicked. You've gone missing for like a full 24 hours. Of course, he's been texting you. So then Carter, steps up to take full responsibility for what happened, which was absolutely crazy. And I was so glad that Steffi quickly corrected him, telling him that it is both their fault and blame it on the alcohol, Jamie Foxx. Blame it on the alcohol. But I was glad to hear that she's like, no, we are both to blame. Because I'm like, they better not try to pin this all on Carter. No, no, no. So then, Carter wants to talk about it, but Steffi is like, no. She grabs her little things, put on that little sundress, and ran up out of that office in a panic, leaving Carter there just naked, holding the blanket. So then, left alone, a guilt-ridden Carter desperately rushes to clean up the office. At this point, he's thrown his clothes back on. I was like, oh, maybe there's a shower in Forrester Creations because he's like, I think in a different outfit, I wanted to say. And, I hope there is at least for all this action that's going on in this office. But anyways, so he's cleaning up. And why is Daphne back in the doorway? Oh, Cartel, I could not get on the plane. I was out of my mind. Carter, please forgive me. Oh, Carter. I was like, girl. First of all, Daphne pissed me off because I understand that she has gone through a very difficult diagnosis. However, You are married. She did not even attempt to reconcile, to figure it out. She didn't attempt to seek other options like surrogacy, IVF, maybe even adoption. Nothing. Her knee jerk reaction was to panic and run away when Carter was begging her. Now, I am not going to let Carter off the hook that easily because it took him no time to fall into bed with someone else. But I'm just saying, mistakes were made all around. And yeah, it is interesting that Steffi and Carter ended up in bed so easily, drunk or not. Do y'all think they've had a thing for each other, or is this purely just circumstantial? Because I'm old school. I am not with this free love or whatever. Hey, if you like it, I love it. It ain't for me. But okay. So then, yes, Daphne is there just repeatedly apologizing to her husband, calling her exit a terrible mistake, just basically claiming, what do you call it? What do you call it? Whatever, insanity, a little bit of insanity. I forget the word. Somebody tell me. And though, so she's there and she wants to get back with Carter, and he's just standing there like, oh my God, of course. So then, I'm sorry, y'all. Ugh, what is, these little flies in the summer? I hate it. So back at the Cliff House. A discombobulated Steffi stumbles through the front door to a shocked Taylor. She's like, what are you doing here? I thought you were supposed to be in Monaco. And Steffi don't know what day of the week it is. She's just like, where the kids? And Taylor was like, this is the day they went to the Catalina thing. I called it the Catalina wine mixer. And she's just like, well, what is going on? And then Steffi's just like, I need to take a shower. And so she just goes in there to just scrub herself clean from her little tryst with Carter in this office. So as soon as she comes out of that shower, Taylor is standing there ready and waiting. She is like, what is wrong? I could tell something is wrong. So then Steffi starts talking about how Sheila ruined Monaco and Finn betrayed her by hiding it, blah, blah, blah. And before Taylor could press any further, because she looked at Steffi's hand and she was like, where's your ring? So before she could answer that, Finn suddenly walks in the door and he's like, oh my God, Steffi, I'm so glad you're here. Now, Taylor, she's going to give them some privacy, but she makes it a point to say, I'm disappointed to hear that you let your girl who asked you, shut up. You're a whole home wrecker, but you're disappointed in Finn. Mind your business and go upstairs. And why don't you get a house while you're at it? So then Finn and Steffi are left alone, and Finn immediately starts apologizing, begging for Steffi's forgiveness, all of the things, while Steffi looks like she wants to vomit. She couldn't even look Finn in the face. She looked like she was shell shocked, just stuck, and she could not even answer. And that's how Tuesday ends. So, like I said, this week got off to a great, great start. Let's get into Wednesday, August 19th. So, down at the beach house, Katie pays a visit to Will to address his recent actions. She questions why he is hooking up with Electra's best friend if he truly misses Electra. While Will tries to defend Dylan as a genuinely good person, Katie strongly disagrees, warning him that she recognizes opportunists who wait for a man to be weak and vulnerable before swooping in. Will brushes off the warnings, noting that Electra has repeatedly walked away from him and that sometimes things simply have to end before a new beginning can happen. This, Katie, is disappointing me. I say this often. I did not watch The Bold and the Beautiful when Stephanie was Queen Bee. But a lot of people who have are saying that Katie is acting like Stephanie did towards Brooke in the early days in regard to Dylan, because Katie is pissing me off. Oh my God. Yes, Dylan walked into Will's beach house the other week unannounced, but this is the dynamic that they have. Katie just happened to be in there tidying up because Will is living like a slob because of this depression from this crazy girl, Electra. And Katie was just like, oh, do you always let yourself into people's homes, girl? And who are you? Oh, you're Dylan, you're Melissa, you're up to something. Da, 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 da. Katie is convinced that Dylan is an opportunist, that she is taking advantage of the situation, and that she is the one ruining the relationship. Really, girl? You don't have anything to say about Electra's actions? And you don't even know Dylan. Dylan does really love Will, in my opinion. And it is crazy. The other week, Dylan was looking at the Spencer's fortune and stuff, and she was just like, oh, what a life, what a family. I mean, that does not necessarily mean she's an opportunist. I understand the concern, but that was the first time we ever saw that. And she's been here for like, what, over a year? And she hasn't done anything else shady. But whatever. Katie is not here for Dylan, and she has no smoke for Electra, which is crazy to me. I appreciated Will defending Dylan a little bit, even though Katie did have some good counters. But Dylan's like, I don't know. I mean, Will was like, I don't know what else to tell you, Mom. Like, Dylan is genuinely a good person, and she's been there for me, unlike Electra. But Katie's just like, this girl is scheming. She's trying to secure sympathy from Will, and she is not here for it. So I'm actually surprised to see Katie acting like this. You know, I thought she would be happy that Will is with someone else who actually like loves him for his authentic self and doesn't want him to change into some hoity-toity piece of crap like Electra. But let's move on. So meanwhile, at the Forrester Creations office, an incredibly awkward confrontation unfolds when Dylan walks into the workspace where Electra is working. I freaking hate this character at this point. Electra makes me sick. Okay, she epitomizes traits that I hate in people. You know, this I'm better than you and blah, blah, blah. Electra has, gotten a little battery in her back all of a sudden, and she just lays into Dylan when she walks in. She's basically telling Dylan, like, let me remind you, my name is on the side of the building, and my name is on your little checks you cash. Since when, girl? You are not Ridge or Eric Forrester. You are Electra Forrester. We don't even know you. But this girl, okay. And she's just reminding Dylan that if she wanted to have Dylan fired, it would be so easy. But no, she's not going to do that, because then Dylan will attempt to play the victim and run to Will, because she basically is accusing Dylan of the same thing that Katie is, of being manipulative and trying to get sympathy from Will and get her hands on his lifestyle. Oh my God. So then Electra tells Dylan, like, you could do the decent thing and just leave the company, because she'll never let Dylan get over on her family again. And Dylan's like, I can't afford to do that. If I leave, Forrester Creations, I can't pay my rent. And Electra's like, world's tiniest violin. She don't care, basically. Maybe Dylan could go work. Well, I thought this at first, that maybe Dylan could have gone to go work at Logan, but since Katie hates this girl so much, that's out. Because I don't know, maybe she could just work full time at Bikini and go shack up at Will's beach house for free. I would love that, because I feel like Dylan is a better match for Will than Electra, who I feel is a baby. a child, and she has no business being in any relationship unless she wants to go kiss her maybe cousin, which is disgusting, but whatever. Let's keep moving on. So then in another part of the Forrester Creations office, the emotional chaos deepens. A shocked Carter listens as Daphne pleads for his forgiveness, admitting she made a terrible mistake by walking away and handing her ring back. Carter reminds her that she explicitly claimed they weren't family and that he couldn't join her in Paris, which she did. But Daphne deeply regrets her words and insists she doesn't want a life without him. I don't want a life without you, cocktail. Promising she should have put her full trust in him from the start. Well, duh! I mean, that's usually what happens when you get married. You're supposed to put your full trust in your spouse. Otherwise, why are you married? Because I was like, did you only marry him because you just wanted to have a family? Did you like Carter at all? I didn't get it. But okay. So Carter's just there, just listening. He's shell shocked. He knows he just slipped and fell into somebody else's, you know what, honeypot. Let's call it that. And now his wife is back begging to get back with him, and she want her ring and all the things. So Carter is just stuck at this point, and he clearly doesn't know what to do. But, we're going to talk about that a little later. So then we go back to the Cliff House. Finn, very anxious, he continues to plead with a completely despondent Steffy. I'm like, girl, hello, wake up. He continues to plead with Steffy for forgiveness. He explains he had a gut feeling that if he didn't reach her quickly, something terrible would happen. It did. As Finn expresses absolute regret over hiding Sheila's presence in Monaco, Steffi is so intensely racked with guilt that she can barely look him in the face or answer. I mean, Finn is going on and on and on, and Steffi is just deaf mute at this point. He is like, I will do whatever it takes. Basically, like, I understand Sheila is a huge threat. He just understands, blah, blah, blah. So we just keep going back and forth between Carter and Steffi after this fallout. So then, oh my gosh. Hold on. I'm looking at my notes. Blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, that was basically it for that. We're just seeing the fallout over this sleeping together, and we see Finn begging for forgiveness while Steffi cannot look him in the face, and it's just like, oh my God, I don't deserve any of this. And we see Daphne trying to get back with Carter. So then, she's telling Carter she will never, ever run away from him again. She asks for her ring back. And Carter is like, he looks like he's being forced to do this, because I would have been like, you don't have to do me no favors. You don't want to get back together? Okay, cool. I'll go back to Paris. But he doesn't. He puts the ring back on her finger, and Daphne's just like really happy about everything, while Carter just looks unsure. Okay. So then, I think my notes are a little bit out. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's just go into Thursday, August 20th. At the Cliff House, a guilt-ridden Steffi repeatedly tries to confess her secret hookup because Finn has just been going on and on and on, and she cuts him off finally, and she's insisting that he is not the one who needs forgiveness. She needs to tell him something. It's important, and Finn won't let her get a word in either, because Finn thinks that Steffi is remorseful about giving her rings back. And he's like, no, you don't have to apologize for that, blah, blah, blah. But Steffi is trying to tell him that she made a mistake, but Finn is just not listening. So then they keep, going back and forth. Steffi keeps trying to tell him what happened, but then Finn gets like a message or something, and I think he has to go to work. obviously. And Steffi says, like, oh, it's okay. You can take it. And then he goes into the room to get ready. And then, before that, Finn slides these rings back on Steffi's fingers. She lets him do it. She says nothing, and she just stays silent in that moment. So, like I said, Finn heads into the bedroom so he can get ready to go wherever he's going. And Steffi's just standing there like, whoo, dodge that bullet for now. So, over at the Forrester Creations office, we see Daphne get her ring back, like I said, and she's just very happy about everything. and yeah, we finally see towards the end, Steffi makes it into the Forrester Creations office while Daphne and Carter are still reconciling. Basically, they are hugging, they're in each other's arms when Steffi walks in, and Carter and Daphne are like, oh. And Daphne's like, oh, Steffi, please be happy for me. I know you heard that I was going back to Paris, but I couldn't get on the plane, and I love Carter so much, and we're back together. Please be happy for me, Steffi. And she's like, yeah. But Steffi looks so uncomfortable. She, like, if she doesn't say anything out of her own mouth, her face and her body reactions will show it, because she's completely uncomfortable. Let me see what else happened on Thursday, because I think my notes are a little out. Blah 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 blah. Oh, Thursday we also saw RJ, the crown prince of Forrester. He makes me sick as well. We see him talking to Zende in the showroom, and RJ's talking to Zende about how he has an idea for a new youth line and how he wants Electra to be the face of the Electra line. And RJ thinks this will be the answer to Hope defecting and Forrester losing their one and only youth line, apparently. So Zende is surprisingly on board about it, because he's just like, Hope ditched us. And, Zende had just got a promotion and everything for the Hope for the Future line. And he was so excited because he was bored helping Eric with Couture. And, then they felt a little way. He's been there forever. He's been paying his dues. He's been talking about how, like, Thomas can't really do anything from Paris. And now that Hope is gone, he just really doesn't know what's going to happen. And so he was very happy when RJ presented this idea, and Zende is on board. He also was very complimentary about some of the designs that RJ already started working on, because those two had a little rift a couple of months ago, because Zende was like, you're not gonna come back here, Crown Prince of Forrester Creations, and take my gig. But the cousins are okay now. So then later we see we see Electra and Dylan still going back and forth in this office. It's mainly Electra being the aggressor, and Electra starts screaming at Dylan, because she's just like, oh, you knew I loved Will, and you knew he was for me, and you did it anyway, and blah 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 blah. So then Eric happens to walk in, and he was like, y'all better shut the hell up here. Basically, he was like, need I remind you, this is a place of business. Now, what took me out were the other coworkers in the hallway. They were like being nosy looking, and I love little nuances like that. But Eric was like, y'all better shut up in here being so loud. And he gives Dylan some designs to take somewhere to get her out of the office. And then he doesn't bring that up to Electra, but he tells her kind of like ominously, I need to talk to you about the jewelry line. So then he goes into the usual, oh, Logan has destroyed us. And it looks like they actually did, based on these Monaco business visits, because none of them really went well. And Forrester is fighting for its life, which I don't get. If you are the king of fashion, how did you let this little rinky dink fake fashion company outdo you? But whatever. So Eric wants to get the jewelry line back on track, and Electra also apologizes. She's just like, um I've been a little distracted, and then the things that happened with Logan impacted things as well. And he's like, okay, yeah, you can't be distracted, and you should also stay away from everything Logan related, including Will. We still on that. So then RJ comes into the office a little later and he pitches Eric on his idea to have a new youth line headed by himself and Zende, and that Electra will be the face of it. He is just so confident that that is the answer. It'll be good for the company. It's exactly what they need. It's new and it's fresh. He shows Eric some designs and Eric's like, oh yeah, this is great. And he's actually intrigued. So I think we are gonna get Electra by Electra or whatever. Ugh, that girl's gonna be insufferable then. So he pitches Eric while Electra is in the office, and she turns around and like she's surprised. He just talked to you the other week. You knew this was coming, but she's on board for it, and just that is what happened. And I think that is basically it for that episode. I am not gonna belabor the fact. Yes, I think that was Thursday. My notes are a little out of whack. It's been a crazy day. First, the tech glitches, the notes are crazy, but we're gonna keep pushing forward. Let's see. The only other thing that happened is just that yes, Steffi walked in on Thursday. She sees Carter and Daphne. She's very uncomfortable. And Daphne does leave after a little while. And Carter was like, okay. He runs over to Steffi. He was like, did you tell Finn? And she said, no, not yet. And Carter's like, thank God. So this is when Carter starts aggressively warning Steffi that they have to keep this a secret. And he's just like, Finn and Daphne can absolutely never know, because the truth would instantly blow up their lives and trigger catastrophic blowback from Ridge, Eric, and the entire family. Well, Carter and Steffi, y'all should have thought about that before you had your drunken night together. But this is where we see Carter's stance immediately. He does not want the truth to get out because he thinks the impact will be too great. And Steffi is clearly agonized about potentially having to keep this secret. So let's just get into Friday, August 21st. So the high stakes fallout reaches an absolute boiling point. We open with yuck. RJ and Electra, gushing about RJ pitching Eric for the exciting new Electra clothing line. So RJ just wants to celebrate the good news, and Electra's just like, oh my God, I can't believe you pitched Eric like that. Why not? That's his granddaddy. Whatever. He didn't do anything great, but whatever. So RJ's just like, oh, we should celebrate. So they're looking for some champagne in the office, but you know who drank it all. And so RJ was like, why don't we go to Bikini instead? So then Electra, you can see it on her face. She's just like, her usual deer in headlights. I'm a young ingenue, someone protect me face. And then she was just like, you know what? I'm not going to let Dylan keep me away from my new favorite place. So yeah, let's go to the bar. Whatever. So then over at Bikini, we see Jessica and Dylan. They're catching up, and Jessica's apparently dating a basketball player. And oh, I don't know. He's so tall. I have to be on my tippy toes to kiss it. Da, 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 da. So then Jessica and Dylan start talking about Will once again. And Dylan tells Jessica that Electra found out about their night together. They did not have sex. She found out about Will and Dylan's night together, and Electra got so mad that she slapped Dylan across the face. And Jessica was like, what? Why? She's the one who's been leaving Will for like 11,000 times. Thank you Jessica. Because I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone sometimes. Like, no one is holding Electra accountable for her actions in this. But okay. So Jessica's just like, this is crazy. Electra dumped that boy in front of everybody. She keeps leaving him. She has no reason to be mad. So then, Jessica goes to greet some clients, some customers, and then we see Will walking into bikini. Will is just a hot ass mess at this point. I mean, he looks good, but he is just emotionally checked out. And he goes and sits at the table, and Jessica runs over to Dylan. She's like, you should go talk to him, because Jessica is team Will and Dylan, like nobody else on this show. Dylan does not even, she exhibits restraint, which is why I cannot totally agree with Katie's assessment of Dylan, because we have seen Dylan exercise restraint. Jessica is the one always pushing, pushing, pushing. So then Dylan's like, okay, I'll go. So then she goes over to Will and she just starts talking to him. And she's just like, are you okay? What do you want? And he's like, oh, should I get a beer or a whiskey? How about beer and whiskey? This boy is not okay. He has been day drinking for weeks at this point. I'm afraid he's going to turn into an alcoholic, but whatever. So then Dylan talks to him, and, Will just starts talking about the same old drama that's been going on. And this is when RJ and Electra, of course, enter bikini. I mean, they make me sick. Electra was all in her phone. Oh, hey, Jessica. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm so important. I'm too important to even ask for my own table, whatever. So then they go sit on the bench, and, they're just settling in, and Electra immediately spots Dylan and Will as soon as she sits down, and she's just staring over there. But she vows not to let this ruin her little outing with RJ, and RJ's like, yeah, let's not focus on them. Let's just focus on work, and cheers to that. Okay, cool, blah, blah, blah. So then at one point during his conversation with Dylan, Will notices that Electra and RJ are there as well. And this is when Will and Electra lock eyes. Okay. So then, eventually Will goes over to the space where RJ and Electra are sitting. Surprisingly, RJ and Will are very cordial with each other, which is night and day from when they were fighting in bikini. Why are they even allowed on the premises? They have gotten into, so Will has punched RJ at bikini twice so far. He sucker punched him the first time. Nobody really saw that. The second time, it was an all-out brawl. Eric gets hit in the process. Why are they even allowed entry into bikini? We know why, because they got money. Whatever. So Will comes over to chat up RJ and Electra. RJ and Will are cordial, like I said. Electra asks to speak to Will by herself. So RJ goes to the bar to get their little drinks. And this is when Will and Electra have direct conversation. Oh, Will's like, oh, so are you here dating? Are you on a date with RJ? And she's like, no, we're just here celebrating secret work stuff because I can't tell you. Like, girl, do you think you're doing something because Will genuinely couldn't tell you a work secret? Are you trying to throw it in his face and make him feel away? Whatever. She makes me sick. She's so damn childish and stupid, but whatever. So, after a little bit of exchange, nothing too serious, because Will is just like, I just wanted to talk to you. I just wanted to see how you were doing. And Electra's basically like, you made your choice. You want to be with Dylan, so you don't have to worry about what I'm doing. Let's just keep our lives completely separate. So now she's putting up even another boundary. Even though, Will, I don't know why you are even talking to this girl. She dumped you, made it very clear the other week, but you still in her face. Wyatt told you, leave this girl alone. You pining away for her is detrimental to your own health. But this boy is not listening. So then his heart is broken yet again when Electra says they need to live entirely separate lives. I agree with her because I'm sick of this back and forth. She is no good for you. You are not a good match for her. Go be with Dylan and let's move on. So Friday also saw the dressmaker return to the Forrester Creations office. Ridge is back and he is frantically looking for Steffi. We don't see Brooke, thank God. Maybe she's at another wellness retreat. But we see Ridge and he's running through these Forrester Creations hallways looking for his daughter. So he goes into the office that Daphne happens to be sitting in and she's just like, "Oh, you're back. How was the trip?" Ridge was like, "Man, the trip was not great. The business took a hit. And I think he did bring up the fact that Steffi and Finn had a problem. He did. And he talked about how Sheila was there. And Daphne was like, "Oh my God, that's so terrible. I love Steffi so much. I'm so sorry her trip was bad." And then she tells him that, well, me and Carter had a bad time too because I walked out on him. And Rich was like, "What? You walked out on my bestie? He's the best husband you can have it. Blah, blah, blah." I mean, Rich want Carter for himself. I always say this because they have the most stable relationship on this show, but I digress. So then Rich is just like, they have a good moment. He's just like, "I'm glad you guys worked things out. I'm sure you'll get back on track just like Steffi and Finn will get back on track." And he's hopeful that she and Carter will have a family in some way. And he's very happy for them. And then he just heads back out to continue searching for Steffi. So then this was the climax. So at this point, Steffi and Carter are in another room in Forrester Creations. We really haven't seen this office that much to my recollection, but they are behind closed doors still having it out over this situation. Steffi is like, "No, Carter, I am going to tell my husband. Me and Finn promise no more secrets. I can't do this to him." "Oh, you can't, Steffi, because you never, ever, ever told Finn how Liam kissed you, 2 years ago? Once again in Monaco, when Thomas was running after Hope, Liam was running after you, and you guys kissed, and you never, ever, ever told Finn. You had Liam up in that man's house because you thought Liam was dying and this and that. You've already disrespected your husband. This time you just took it to another level. So I'm not going to sit here and play this game with Steffi like she's been this super devoted wife because she hasn't. Like, girl, you needed a paternity test just to rule out that Liam wasn't Hayes' daddy. So I don't know where this delusion from Finn came in. Oh, because the other day Finn was like, "You're so loyal, you're so truthful." I was like, who is he talking about? Whatever. So Steffi's on this kick. She is not keeping secrets from Finn, and she is going to tell him. Also, because she's being eaten alive by this secret. While Carter is like, "Girl, no, shut your mouth." He's like, "Think about it. Ridge will be pissed. He will never forgive me. Our friendship will be over. Your friendship with Daphne will be over." He was like, everything would blow up. No, it would be catastrophic. You cannot say anything. And Steffi's just like, no. She maintains that she's gonna say something. And so they keep going back and forth and they are getting loud. We see Ridge's little Italian shoes walking through this hallway. He stops at the door. He hears them talking. He walks in. He's like, "Steffi." And I was like, "Ugh." He's like, "What's going on in here?" Steffi's looking. She shuts up. Carter's looking. And Ridge is just staring back. So we don't know what Ridge heard. I'm sure he didn't hear anything too pertinent. It's just happened. And I think they're going to let this storyline breathe a little bit, of course. Lots of theories Lots of theories. A lot of people think that Steffi is going to get pregnant by Carter, and that's how this will be revealed, because I guess people think that she's not going to say anything to try to keep the peace, like Carter is suggesting. She's going to be pregnant, and then when that baby comes out, we're going to know who the daddy is then. But I think, ooh, I feel like that is how they are gonna go with this, because I don't know what other way to reveal this and make it juicy. You know what I mean? I would love to know what you guys think as well. Feel free to drop it in the chat. But yes, this is the main theory that I've been seeing. And a lot of people are speculating if Steffi is once again pregnant in real life. I don't believe she is, and everything that I looked up did not say she was pregnant again, but who knows with her, because she loves kids. Let's just say that. And so other people think that Steffi and Carter should say, like, oh, Steffi donated her egg and they just used Carter's, his man juice. Let's say that. And Steffi's going to be like a pseudo surrogate. That would be a perfect way to cover up this lie if they really want to be like diabolical. That would be a good angle. I don't know if she could live with herself, after lying to her friend like that, but who knows? It would solve two problems. They can keep their secret, and Daphne and Carter can have a baby that's at least half biologically Carter's. But I am very excited to see how this plays out. I am not one of the people who are like, I'm not going to watch anymore because they put Carter and Steffi together. Oh, who cares? And yeah, that is what happened last week. I released my preview for this week, and it looks like Katie's still going to be bashing Dylan. I'm sick of that. And then we saw that Dylan's mother is going to make an appearance. So I think Katie's going to know Dylan's mother in some way. Maybe she's like another blast from the past. Oh, they also, like, Will also knows that Dylan and Remy are cousins. So maybe that'll come out again as well, because when he was talking to Katie last week, that came up very briefly. He's like, I don't think she's crazy like her psycho cousin Remy, but whatever. So then Dylan's mother is coming to town. And then what else did we see? Oh, we saw Daphne talking about how she models her marriage behind Finn and Steffi. And I was like, girl, that is not what you want. I believe that was basically what we saw in the preview. Still no sign of Sheila. Where is my girl at? I need 8 toes in the mix. But yeah, that is basically it. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Sorry again for all of these technical difficulties. We might be not using these anymore for a while, because I don't have time for that in my life. But if you like content like this, please like, share, comment, subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Check me out every Sunday at 3 o'clock. I do this deep dive on the Bold and the Beautiful. I also do live recaps every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. for Beyond the Gates. There's a lot of drama going on over there as well. So please join me over there and just check out my other content about lifestyle, homeschooling, neurodivergent kids, all of the things. And I will see you guys next time.